The vast darkness of space lit up with a flash of light as the Zaxxorian scout ship took off faster than light travel. The ship, sleek and silver against the darkness, trained its sensors on the blue planet that hovered in the distance. On the bridge, Commander Vexler stood with his forearms crossed behind his back. His scaly skin reflected the blue glow of the ship's monitors as he studied the readings. "Interesting," he said. "This planet has life. Advanced life." His science officer, Trelnax, nodded. "Yes, Commander. But its space technology is limited. They just reached the moon and sent some basic probes to nearby planets." Vexler's mouth stretched into what was considered a smile among his kind. "Perfect. Yulurthi Empire. We found another world suitable for integration." 3 days later, on Earth, Professor Alan Wright walked across the NASA campus with a tablet in his hand. The morning sun shone on his gray hair as he ran towards the main building. Something strange appeared in deep space signals overnight, and he couldn't understand it. Inside the control room, Dr. Susan Miller looked up from her computer. "Alan, you're early today. Check this out," he said, handing her the tablet. "These patterns don't match anything natural." Susan's eyes widened as she studied the data. "You are right. This seems artificial. I think someone is watching us," Alan said calmly. Within hours, the news reached military command. Air Force Captain Eric Jones was removed from training exercises and flown to Washington. In a secure underground room, he joined Susan and Alan as they briefed government officials. "We believe it's a spacecraft," Susan explained, "and it's getting closer." A general with 3 stars on his uniform frowned. "Hostile? We don't know." Alan admitted it, but they're not trying to hide. It's almost as if they want us to notice them. Over the next week, people around the world noticed strange lights in the night sky. News channels showed grainy videos of objects moving in impossible ways. Governments tried to keep people calm, but everyone knew something big was happening. Then one morning, all the TVs, radios, telephones, and computers broadcast the same message. "People of the Earth, we are Zaxxorian Empire. We come in peace to evaluate your species for galactic citizenship." The message repeated in every language on Earth. The United Nations called an emergency meeting. Leaders from all countries met in New York. Alan, Susan, and Eric sat in the back of the room as counselors. "We need to show them that we are peaceful," said a world leader. "But also strong," added another. Alan studied the alien message again. "They said evaluate, like a test." Susan nodded. "And what happens if we fail?" Above Earth, Zaxxorian fleet has grown to 12 ships. Commander Vexler reviewed the data his scouts had gathered. "Their weapons are primitive," he told his officers. "And they don't have a unified military. Different countries control different forces." "And their story?" asked an officer. "Interesting," Vexler replied. "They have fought many wars in the past, but now they mostly cooperate. They seem to have softened." "Pacific," his second-in-command, tilted his head. "Isn't that good? Peaceful species make the best subjects." "Exactly," Vexler said. "This will be an easy acquisition. Your resources are abundant and your resistance will be minimal." On Earth, the UN has agreed to send a welcome message to the aliens. They would invite them to land near the UN building for a formal greeting. As Eric helped set up security, he whispered to Susan, "Do you trust them?" Susan looked up at the sky, where the alien ship's Indians were now visible even in daylight. "No, but we need to learn more about them before we decide what to do." Alan joined them, his face serious. "The message we received was translated very perfectly. They had been watching us for longer than we thought." The 3 looked at each other, a silent understanding passing between them. Whatever happened next, you from Earth forever. The day the aliens landed, people filled the streets around the UN building. They watched as a smooth, oval-shaped silver ship slowly descended from the sky. It made no sound as it landed in the large open square. Security teams led by Captain Eric Jones formed a protective ring around the landing site. Eric's hand rested on the gun, even though he had been ordered not to show any hostile intent. "Stay alert," he whispered to his team. Friendly faces, attentive eyes. The door opened on the side of the ship, a ramp extending to the floor. Commander Vexler emerges flanked by 4 other aliens. They walked on 2 legs, but had 4 arms. Their skin was light blue with scales that reflected sunlight. They weren't weapons that Eric could see. The UN Secretary-General stepped forward with Alan and Susan by his side. "Welcome to Earth," said the Secretary-General. "We are honored by your visit." Vexlor bowed slightly. The honor is ours. Your world is beautiful. We look forward to learning about your culture. In the following days, meetings took place inside the UN building. The aliens shared information about their empire, which spanned dozens of star systems. They talked about advanced technology and the benefits of joining their galactic community. But Susan noticed something strange about their behavior. The aliens spoke to humans like adults speak to children, with fake smiles and simple words. They're not taking us seriously, she told Alan and Eric in the privacy of her hotel room. They think we are primitive. Alan nodded. I have been studying the materials they gave us. They mentioned 12 other species that they welcomed into their empire. But there are no details about what happened to these worlds after they joined. Eric walked around the room. I don't like it. My security team reports that aliens are analyzing everything. Buildings, technology, even our weapons. They are evaluating us. Meanwhile, Commander Vexler and his scientific officer, Trelnax, reviewed human history on their ship. So much violence in the past, Trelnax observed, scrolling through images of world wars. However, now they live in relative peace. A sign of weakness, Vexler replied. They became soft. Their nations compete with words instead of weapons. Its strongest military powers have not fought each other for decades. If we are cautious, his past shows a capacity for extreme violence. Vexler waved his hand dismissively. Ancient history. Look at them now. Divided into separate countries. Discussing climate and trade. They can barely agree on anything. They will never unite against us. On the 7th day, Vexler requested a private meeting with the UN Security Council. Susan managed to be included as a scientific consultant. In the meeting room, Vexler's tone changed. The false sympathy disappeared. Your world has the resources we need. He stated categorically. Their population centers are inefficient. Their technology is primitive. The room became tense. A member of the council from France spoke. What exactly are you suggesting? We offer protection and guidance in exchange for resource rights. Vexler said. This is generous. Other species received less favorable conditions. Susan's stomach tightened. This was not an offer of friendship. It was the beginning of an acquisition. After the meeting, she ran to find Al and Eric. It's happening, she said breathlessly. They are not here for peaceful contact. They would want our planet. Eric's face hardened. I knew. We need to alert military command. Alan looked pale. They think we are weak because we are peaceful. They completely misunderstood humanity. That night, the three friends watched from their hotel window as more alien ships arrived in Earth's orbit. News reports counted 23 vessels now visible in the night sky. They are positioning themselves above big cities, Eric noted. Standard invasion strategy. Susan clung to the windowsill. They think this will be easy because we are not at war with each other. Alan's voice was quiet but firm. So we need to teach them why the Earth chose peace. Not because we couldn't fight, but because we knew exactly how destructive we could be. Eric finished. 2 weeks after the aliens' first landing, Commander Vexler appeared before the UN Security Council. His forearms were spread wide in what humans now recognized as a gesture of authority. The room was tense. News cameras broadcast the meeting to people around the world. The time for preliminary discussions is over, Vexler announced. Zach's Korean Empire demands his answer. Accept our protection and guidance, or face the consequences. The Secretary General leaned forward. What exactly are these consequences? Vexler's scaled face showed no emotion. Those who refuse our generous offer find themselves unable to maintain their civilization. It would be regrettable if Earth suffered such a fate. This sounds like a threat, said the representative of Kenya. Just a statement of fact, Vexler replied. You have 72 hours to reconsider. With a simple gesture to a device on his wrist, all the lights in the building went out. The computers were turned off. Phones died. Then, one by one, Manhattan's skyscrapers went dark. After 10 seconds, the power returned. Vexler smiled. A small demonstration. We can do much more. When the alien delegation left, panic spread throughout the room. World leaders argued about what to do. Many believed that surrender was the only option. Alan, Susan, and Eric met in a secure room beneath the UN building. He turned off the power with just a wrist device. Susan said their technology is far beyond ours. Alan spread papers across the table. I have studied their language and registers. They had done this before. 12 other worlds, all with the same pattern. They target peaceful species, make demands, and then take control. What happens to the people in these worlds? Eric asked. Alan's face was grim. They become workers, second-class citizens in their own homes. Eric slammed his fist on the table. We need to counterattack. With what? Susan asked. Our most advanced weapons would be useless against their ships. Maybe not. Alan said softly. I noticed something when the power went out. Their communication devices flickered before they could adjust. They are vulnerable to certain types of electromagnetic interference. In Washington, military leaders met at the Pentagon. Reports came in from all over the world. China, Russia, India, and the European Union reported the same thing. The alien ships were now positioned above their main cities. President William Clark addressed the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Options. General Patricia Higgins spoke first. Direct military action would be suicide. But we've been looking at their technology. There may be weaknesses that we can exploit. The president nodded. Contact all nations. We need a united response. Back in New York, Susan worked with a team of scientists examining power outage data. Their systems operate based on quantum principles, she explained to Eric and Alan, but they need to synchronize with local electrical grids to affect them. This creates a vulnerability. Eric nodded. If we could stop this synchronization, we could save time. We need more information, Alan said. I need access to their main ship. Susan looked up. This is impossible. Not if we pretend to accept their terms, Eric suggested. We could send a delegation aboard the ship to discuss details. Gather in tow. In Moscow, Beijing, London, and capitals around the world, similar conversations were taking place. Secret messages passed between governments. For the first time in history, all major military powers agreed on a single coordinated plan. On television screens around the world, presidents and prime ministers announced their decision to accept the terms of the ZAC Court. Commander Vexler was pleased. Prepare integration protocols, he ordered his officers. Mark this as one of our easiest purchases. His science officer looked uncertain. Sir, I have studied more on the subject of their history. His capacity for violence. Is it ancient history? Vexler interrupted. See how quickly they surrendered. These humans will serve the Empire well. As the 72-hour deadline approached, Earth appeared to be preparing for surrender. But deep underground and behind closed doors, a different preparation was underway. Operation Thunderclap was ready to begin. The world held its breath as the 72-hour deadline approached. On the surface, the nations prepared to surrender. White flags flew from government buildings. Military bases seemed to retreat. News reports showed soldiers returning to barracks and ships returning to port. But it was all a show. Deep underground, in bunkers and secret installations across the world, humanity has prepared for war. Each nation contributed its best minds and resources to the effort. At a facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Susan led a team of scientists that worked 24 hours a day. They discovered that all of ZAC's Korean technology relied on a specific quantum frequency for communication. If we can disrupt this frequency, she explained to military officials, their systems will be temporarily disabled. Eric was in front of a map that showed the positions of the alien ships. The outage will only last a few minutes. We need to use this time to attack quickly and simultaneously. In another room, Alan worked with linguists and computer experts. They managed to translate enough of the alien language to access parts of their database. I found something, Alan said, calling Susan and Eric to the computer. See their story of achievements. The screen showed records of 12 planets that ZAC's Koreans had conquered. Notice anything? Elon asked. Susan studied the data. They are all peaceful civilizations, without major wars for at least a century before contact. Exactly, said Alan. ZAC's Koreans deliberately target peaceful species. They avoid aggressive ones. Eric's eyes narrowed. They are bullies. They only pick fights they know they can win. Elon nodded. And they completely misunderstood humanity. They think our current peace means we are naturally peaceful. In London, military strategist Olivia Carter discovered patterns in alien patrol routes. In Tokyo, engineers developed weapons that could pierce alien armor. In Bangalore, computer experts created viruses to infiltrate alien systems. All of these efforts were coordinated through secure channels, hidden from the public eye. Alien detection. The plan had a single name, Operation Thunderclap. Meanwhile, the aliens prepared to take over Earth. They believed that humanity had surrendered without a fight. Commander Vexler addressed his officers aboard the flagship. Tomorrow, We will begin the integration of Earth. Its resources will fuel our expansion for centuries. A young officer raised a concern. Sir, shouldn't we be more cautious? Their historical records show. Their story is irrelevant. Vexler interrupted. Look at them now. They surrender without firing a single shot. They are weak. The officer bowed and fell silent. On Earth, as night falls in New York, Susan, Alan, and Eric gather in their hotel room for the last time. Everything is ready, Susan said calmly. All major nations are on board. Eric checked his watch. The surrender ceremony will be tomorrow at noon. That's when we attack. Alan looked at the alien ships hovering over the city. They think we are peaceful because we are weak. They never considered that we could be peaceful because we know exactly how terrible war can be. Susan placed her hand on his shoulder. And now you will learn why the most dangerous opponent is not the one who is always fighting. He is the one who knows how to fight, but chooses not to fight. Eric finished. Until they have no choice. They spent the rest of the night going over the plan one last time. Special Forces teams were positioned near all alien landing sites. Modified EMP devices were ready to disrupt alien communications. Hackers waited to break into alien systems. For the first time in human history, all of Earth's nations worked together with a single purpose: survival. As dawn broke over New York, Commander Vexlar prepared for the formal surrender ceremony. He chose his best uniform and practiced his victory speech. Today marks the glorious expansion of Zack's Korean Empire, he rehearsed. The Earth will prosper under our guidance. He had no idea what humanity had planned for him. The day of the surrender ceremony arrived. The sky was clear blue over New York City. Alien ships hovered over the world's major cities, their shadows falling over streets full of worried people. In the United Nations Square, a stage was set up. Flags of all nations fluttered in the wind. World leaders sat in rows of chairs, their solemn faces. News cameras broadcast the event to billions of people watching from home. Commander Vexlar arrived with his officers, walking proudly onto the stage. He wore ceremonial armor that glittered in the sunlight. The Secretary General greeted him with a bow. "We are ready to start," said the Secretary General. Vexlar nodded, satisfied. Today marks the beginning of a new era for Earth. Unbeknownst to the aliens, small devices have been placed around the square. Similar devices waited near alien ships and cities around the world. Each device was tuned to the exact quantum frequency that Susan had discovered. Inside a van parked 3 blocks away, Susan watched the ceremony on a small screen. Eric sat next to her in military uniform, ready to act. Alan monitored communications from a hidden room beneath the UN building. The Secretary General approached the microphone. "People of Earth, today we formalize our relationship with Zack's Korean Empire." He paused and said the phrase in code. "We look to the thunder for guidance." Susan pressed a button on her laptop. Instantly, all devices are activated. A pulse of energy, invisible but powerful, swept across the city. Alien communication systems, and became dark. The floating ships swayed in the air. Vexlar's wrist device lit up and died. He looked around in confusion as his officers shouted in their language. It was then that Operation Thunderclap truly began. Military helicopters emerged from hidden positions around the city. Special Forces teams disguised as security guards took weapons from under their coats. The world leaders were quickly moved to safety. "What is happening?" Vexlar demanded, her voice no longer calm. The Secretary General remained firm. "We are declining your offer." All over the world, the scene was repeated. In Moscow, Beijing, London, and Delhi, alien ships were hit by the same energy pulse. Their weapon systems have failed. Their communications went silent. In the van, Susan watched her plan work. "The outage will only last 7 minutes," she said. "That's all the time we have." Eric was already moving. "That's all we need." Teams of soldiers approached the smaller alien ships that had landed in parks and squares. Using tools designed by engineers from around the world, they forced open the doors and boarded the vessels. In the sky, fighter jets that had been hidden underground rose to face the larger ships. They fired missiles specially designed to pierce alien armor. Commander Vexlar watched in horror as the humans transformed before his eyes. The peaceful and surrendered species disappeared. In its place was a coordinated military force that fought with skill and precision. "Impossible," he whispered. His officers tried to retreat to the ship, but found their way blocked by soldiers. For the first time, Fear appeared on their alien faces. Eric led a team straight to Vexlar. "Commander," he said, "you are coming with us." In space, satellites that appeared non-functional suddenly activated, targeting the alien fleet. Earth's hidden weapons were developed in secret and launched into orbit over the past 2 weeks, fired in unison. Several alien ships caught completely by surprise were damaged before they could raise their shields. Inside the hidden room, Alan coordinated with military centers across the world. "The first phase has been completed," he said, moving on to phase 2. At the end of the 7 minutes, the aliens began to recover their systems. But it was already too late. Humans gained control of several smaller ships and damaged many larger ships. Most importantly, they captured Commander Vexlar. The alien leader was taken to a secure facility, surrounded by guards. "Your arrogance is gone now." He looked at the humans in disbelief. You deceived us," he said. Susan stepped forward. "No, you were wrong. You saw what you wanted to see. This is not possible." Vexlar insisted. "You are a peaceful species." Eric laughed humorlessly. That was his first mistake. The aliens quickly recovered from the initial attack. Your ships regained power, shields were raised, and weapons came online. They launched a fierce counterattack against Earth's military bases and power plants. But humanity was ready. Forces were transferred to support locations. Critical infrastructure has been reinforced or hidden. The lessons of countless wars between nations now served a greater purpose: survival against an alien threat. In the command center beneath the Pentagon, Olivia Carter directed global defense efforts. The screens showed battles happening all over the world. "They are targeting our conventional military assets," she reported, "just as we expected." The president nodded. "And our captured ships? Teams are figuring out how to use them now." Olivia replied, "We need a few more hours." In a secure facility in Colorado, Susan Traw worked frantically with engineers to understand the alien technology they had captured. The equipment was advanced, but not impossible to understand. Her weapons work on similar principles to our particle accelerators, she explained to the scientists around her. But much more efficiently. One of the engineers looked up from a disassembled alien rifle. "We can replicate this. Not perfectly, but enough to create working versions." Meanwhile, Eric led teams practicing with the smaller alien ships they had captured. The controls were strange, but the pilots learned quickly. "They trust their technology too much," Eric told his squad. "They never expected us to be able to use this against them." All over the world, the pattern was the same. The aliens attacked with overwhelming force, expecting an easy victory. Instead, they found humans using guerrilla tactics, attacking quickly and disappearing before the aliens could respond. In New York, Alan interrogated Commander Vexlar. They sat facing each other in a reinforced room underground. "Why did you choose Earth?" Alan asked. Vexlar's forearms were tied, but his posture remained proud. "You were at peace, divided, an easy conquest, and the other worlds you conquered. Were they the same?" "Yes," Vexlar admitted. "We avoid aggressive species, which are too expensive to subdue." Alan leaned forward. "That was your mistake. We are not peaceful because we cannot fight. We are at peace because we choose to be." For the first time, real doubt appeared in Vexlar's eyes. Above London, a great battle unfolded. 3 alien ships launched attacks on the city. British fighters engaged them, drawing fire while ground forces attacked the ships with captured alien weapons. One of the alien vessels crashed into the River Thames, sending huge waves crashing onto the banks. The other 2 retreated to higher altitudes. Similar scenes played out in Moscow, Beijing, and other major cities. Humanity could not match the aliens in direct combat, but it could harm them, forcing them to be cautious. In orbit, International Space Station astronauts, who had been secretly replaced by military personnel weeks earlier, used the station's robotic arms to attach devices to passing alien ships. These devices, based on Susan's research, disrupted the aliens' navigation systems. By the end of the first day, humanity had destroyed 7 alien ships and captured 5 more. But there were still more than 50 alien ships in Earth's orbit, and they were adapting to human tactics. In Colorado, Susan made a discovery. She found a way to access the aliens' communication network. "We can listen to your transmissions," she told the president over a secure line, "and maybe even send fake orders." Eric's team had mastered the basics of piloting alien ships. "We are ready to take them into combat," he informed. Alan discovered something crucial in the alien database. They called for reinforcements, he warned. A larger fleet is coming. How long do we have? Olivia asked. 3 days. Maybe 4. Alan replied. But I also found information about their home world and fleet deployments. Knowledge we can use. The aliens have gathered their forces for a major attack. They believe they could still crush human resistance with a decisive strike. They were about to learn another lesson about humanity. We never give up. 3 days after the start of Operation Thunderclap, Earth prepared for its boldest move yet. Using the captured alien ships, a joint human task force would launch an attack on Zach's Korean command ship. The plan was risky. If it failed, Earth would lose its best fighters and pilots. But if he succeeded, the alien fleet would be thrown into chaos. In a hangar beneath the Nevada desert, Eric briefed the pilots and soldiers who would be joining the mission. We will approach using your own ships, sending the correct identification codes that Susan's team has deciphered, he explained. Once on board, we split into 3 teams. Team 1 secures the bridge. Team 2 occupies the engine room. Team 3 finds their central database. Olivia Carter would lead Team 1. Eric would lead Team 2. And a Russian Special Forces commander would lead Team 3. And what about their reinforcements? One of the pilots asked. Ellen's team is working on it, Eric replied. If all goes well, they will never arrive. In her lab, Susan made final adjustments to the small devices that each team member would carry. They'll help you navigate your computer systems, she explained to Olivia, and lock down your personal weapons. The mission was launched at dawn. 5 captured alien ships, now piloted by humans, have emerged from hidden bases around the world. They entered orbit and then approached Zach's massive Korean command ship. Inside the lead, Eric felt a strange mix of fear and excitement. Humans had never fought in space before. Now they were about to board an alien warship. The approaching command vessel informed the pilot. Transmitting identification codes now. Tense moments passed. Then came the answer. Accepted codes. Proceed to Dock 3. The human ships landed inside the huge alien ship. As planned, security was minimal. Zach's Koreans never expected their own ships to be used against them. The teams quickly advanced through the corridors. Using Susan's devices, they avoided most of the guards and disabled the few they encountered. Meanwhile, on Earth, Alan led a different kind of attack. Using access codes found in files captured by Vexler, he and his team of hackers infiltrated the aliens' communications network. Send the abort message to the reinforcement fleet, he ordered. Make it look like it comes directly from Vexler. The message was sent, encoded in Zach's highest authority Korean protocols. Mission compromised. Return to base immediately. Security breach detected. Abort the command ship. Olivia's team arrived at the bridge first. The alien officers turned around in surprise as the doors opened. Before they could react, Susan's devices activated, disabling their weapons. Secure the room, Olivia ordered. His soldiers moved quickly, trapping the aliens. Eric's team faced more resistance in the engine room. A firefight broke out, with alien energy weapons firing human bullets. Several soldiers fell but advanced, using tactics developed over centuries of human warfare. We need to get that control panel, Eric shouted, pointing to the other side of the room. The young soldier nodded and ran through the enemy fire to catch up. He was hit twice, but managed to place one of Susan's devices on the dashboard before falling. The aliens' weapons died. Team 3 arrived at the central database and began downloading everything they found. On the bridge, Olivia met the ship's commander, Trelnax, Vexler's second-in-command. He looked at the humans in disbelief. How is this possible? He asked. You were at peace. That's what we wanted you to think, Olivia replied. Back on Earth, Susan received the first data transmissions from the command ship. We're getting everything, she told Alan. The entire fleet deployment, weapon specs, star maps, Alan smiled, and the reinforcements. They turned around, Susan confirmed. Your message falsely it worked. In Nevada, the president was taken to the facility where Vexler was being held. Alan and Susan joined them. His command ship has been captured, the president told Vexler. Their reinforcements were refused. Vexler's eyes widened. Impossible. Alan placed a tablet in front of him, showing live footage from the command ship. Your empire has never faced anything like us before, has it? Never. Vexler admitted calmly. The remaining alien ships gathered for a final desperate attack. Their leaders were captured, their command ship taken, but they still had superior technology. They believed they could still win. They were wrong. Using the knowledge gained from the command ship's database, Earth's forces were ready. Susan discovered the exact frequency that could disrupt the alien shields. Alan decoded his battle plans. Eric and Olivia learned their tactics. As the alien ships descended toward major cities, they encountered a unified human response. The fighter jets launched missiles calibrated to the exact frequency of each vessel's shield. Earth weapons, modified with alien technology, fired in perfect coordination. In orbit, the captured command ship, now controlled by humans, attacked the alien fleet from behind. The Zaxxorians had never experienced such a complete military defeat. 7 more of their ships crashed on Earth. 5 fled into space. The rest surrendered. At the Nevada facility, the president addressed Commander Vexler. His invasion failed, he said simply. Vexler looked broken. His proud posture disappeared. You were at peace. Peace was our choice, the president responded. It's not our nature. Susan stepped forward. You studied our history, but you didn't understand anything. We fight terrible wars among ourselves. We learn the cost of conflict. Peace was not weakness, it was wisdom. Helene added, you thought peace meant we couldn't fight. In fact, it meant we knew exactly how to fight. But I chose not to do so. Until you gave us no choice. Eric finished. The president looked directly at Vexler. Now you have a choice. Take a message back to your empire. Leave Earth alone. Leave all peaceful worlds alone. Or what? Vexler asked. Or we will bring the lesson to you. The president said, now we have your technology, your star maps, and your battle tactics. 3 days later, under heavy guard, Vexler and the surviving foreign officers were allowed to board one of their smaller ships. Before leaving, Vexler spoke with Susan, Alan, and Eric one last time. My people never imagined that a species could be peaceful and powerful, he said. We thought they were opposites. That was your mistake, Susan replied. As the alien ship ascended into the sky, people around the world watched on screens, in the streets, and on rooftops. For the first time in history, all of humanity fought together against a common threat and won. A month later, the United Nations established a new space defense force. Susan was named head of science and technology. Alan became the head of alien communications and intelligence. Eric took command of the new space fleet, which now included 12 modified alien ships. We need to be ready, said the Secretary General during the event. Ceremony. They can return. But Eric shook his head. I don't think they will. They only attack species they consider weak. They know better now. Using alien technology, humanity has accelerated its space program. New ships were built. Colonies were planned for Mars and beyond. The stars, previously distant and unreachable, now seemed to be within the grass. 6 months after the invasion, a new alien ship appeared in T's orbit. Wrong. But this one came in peace. This time, for real, he transported diplomats from Zax's Korean Empire, seeking a formal treaty. We have reconsidered our expansion policies, said the ambassador. We wish to establish true peaceful relations. Even more surprising, representatives of other species also came. Those who had been conquered by Zax's Koreans and now sought independence. At the new Space Defense Headquarters, Susan smiled as she watched the diplomatic proceedings on the screen. They really learned their lesson, she said. Alan nodded. And now other peaceful species turn to us for protection. That's the greatest irony, said Eric. They attacked us because we were peaceful. Now we are the guardians of peace across the stars. The 3 friends looked out the window at the night sky. The stars looked different now, not just distant lights, but places humanity would someday visit. Earth taught the galaxy a powerful lesson. True peace comes from the combination of strength and wisdom. And those who mistake peace for weakness have learned that lesson the hard way.